want to say a disclaimer before I get into this review. If you haven't watched the 2003 version of Fullmetal Alchemist, then there are major spoilers ahead. I mean, I know that already should be a given, but there's going to be spoilers ahead. There's going to even be some spoilers for Brotherhood as well. So if you haven't seen either series, or if you've only seen Brotherhood, I'd really recommend go and watch those first before you come onto this video, or just watch 2003 first, rather. That's all you really need to see. I'm not going to be talking about any Brotherhood specific, but you know, some plot points kind of remain the same throughout them, so they're, you know, a double spoiler, I guess. But yeah, very important that you see that first, and watch that before you even watch this movie too. I mean, I'm gonna leave a spoiler-free section for the movie at the beginning, but the whole thing's gonna contain spoilers for the series, because this movie is made to conclude the 2003 series. There's no way about me that I could possibly talk about any aspect of this film at all without bringing up some spoilers at least for the 2003 anime. So make sure you've watched that, then you can come here, watch this review, and there'll be a spoiler section too, so if you want to watch the movie first, then go ahead and do that. But anyway, let's get right into this. What up guys, it's Tops, and I am back for another review. I know it's been so long. The last one I made was like a month and a half ago, I think. And I said there that I wanted to do like 1 or 2 per month, and here we go, a month and a half later, and I haven't uploaded a single other review. What is up with me? But now let's get into this. I really love this film. It is so good, and this anime gets a lot of criticism because it wasn't true to the manga or anything, and a lot of people say Brotherhood's better. And while I do say that, I agree with them completely. I'm gonna try and keep those views separate from the movie, because I feel that even though I didn't really love the 2003 series as much as I did Brotherhood, it was still a good show, and this film is just incredible. Like, even without the series dragging it down, like, this movie is just so good. I really wish that it could be viewed by people who hadn't seen the anime, and they'd be able to understand it, because I'd show it to a lot of my friends if that were the case. But it's not. You really have to watch it to have a clue what's going on. So, yeah, there's that. But yeah, let's get actually into this review now that I rambled on about all that other stuff that's irrelevant to the movie. So the first thing I'd like to touch on is the atmosphere. Once again, I always touch on the atmosphere of pretty much everything that I ever review, but I like to do that. I feel like it's a good place to start. So, you know, a lot of people, including me, didn't really love the whole idea of the multiple universes thing on the other side of the gate. It didn't really make too much sense, and it kind of seemed like a rushed ending almost that they just threw in there to try and come up with some explanation for the truth. Or we all knew that, like, no, that's not really how it's going to end up in the manga. And no, it wasn't how it ended up in the manga or Brotherhood. Because, I don't know, it just didn't really feel fitting that our universe and Amestris existed, or Shambhala, I should say, is their whole world as a whole existed together and were like connected in a way, and like the alchemy was taken from the deaths of people in our universe but not in their universe. They can only use those deaths for a philosopher's stone. I don't know, it was very confusing and it didn't really make too much sense, but I thought they made great use out of it in the movie, since the series, you know, kind of does take place in the early 1900s. I know Brotherhood, it's very specific with the date, how Ed has the watch that says, remember, October 6th, I want to say. That could be completely wrong, but I know it was 1911 was the year that it said. It was October something 1911. But yeah, this series takes place in a fictional world in the early 1900s, and what takes place in our universe in kind of the early 1900s? I mean, it's a little bit different of a time, but leading up to World War II. So they had it like right after World War I ended is where Ed ended up when he came to Earth. And that's right where the Nazi Party is starting to rise in Germany, and Amestris is considered by many as a fictional version of Germany, so this makes perfect sense. And I think that incorporating this dark theme into the movie just made it so much better. It really, like, I don't know, I want to say it added, like, true art to it. I know that's kind of corny to say when it's like Fullmetal Alchemist and they had a bunch of plot twists that make zero sense at all. Could actually lead into something so good as this, but it really does. They take the character that passed away at the beginning of the series, Hughes, and yeah guys, I told you there were going to be spoilers, so you can't really get mad at me for saying that. He died in like episode, actually 2003, he died like halfway into it, didn't he? Forgot about that. But, they take Hughes and they incorporate his character into this universe, because how they work is they have the two universes, right? So like one character It could be in Shambhala, and there's an identical person who looks just like them and acts a lot like them in our universe. But, like, it's not like they die at the same time or anything. They could have completely different jobs, live completely different lifestyles. They just look the same and generally act the same way as well. So we have Hughes here, who becomes a police officer, and he's just, you know, chilling, and he's all cool and everything, until one day when the Nazis rise to power, he joins forces with them, and we see that he has just become full of prejudice and racism, and it has just destroyed his character, even though we know there is still some good in him. He's Mace Hughes after all. There's got to be some good left over in him. But, you know, this actually kind of hits the feels. It relates back to real life. Like, obviously, no one here watching this was probably ever in Nazi Germany unless you're 90 years old. I credit you if you're watching this if you're 90 years old. But we all have learned about what's happened during those times, you know. Good people ended up giving way just because of the power and the fear of power taking over them. They succumbed to joining the Nazi Party, and that's really how Germany grew like that in the Holocaust. It was all because of a scare, really, of power. And this film just shows how someone who's really good on the inside could give way to that power and show evil qualities. I don't know, I might be looking too deep into this. I know I am looking extremely deep into this, but I think that's just what makes this film good, that we can look that deep into it and learn some lessons from it. But anyway, that's enough just talking about Hughes completely. Another character that was actually quite interesting, in my opinion, in this film was Fuhrer King Bradley. Now, in the anime, we had only seen him in his homunculus form, but if you remember, 2003, how the homunculi work is they were like people who they die, and then after they have died, someone tries to bring them back to life, and then they get made into a homunculus. So like how Ed and Al brought back their mom and she became a homunculus. At one point in time, Bradley was a real person, right? Had completely different views than what his homunculus does. He was probably a good person, as we see in this movie. And he died and someone brought him back to life and everything. But in this film, we see his counterpart, and his counterpart is not the counterpart of the homunculus. It's the counterpart of the person he was before he died. And we see that he was actually a good person before he died. And it's kind of cool how the roles have kind of changed. We have Hughes, who used to be like that innocent character who everybody loved, a fan favorite who was always like good in his heart in every way. And then Bradley was just downright evil. But now it's switched. Bradley's the one who's good, and Hughes is the one who has succumbed to the dark side. I probably shouldn't have said it like that. That was such a bad reference. Anyway, I thought this was just kind of cool. I mean, just another cool thing to note that, like, they were willing to change roles of the characters. And I think it played out great, to be honest. I would have loved to see some of Bradley before he was a homunculus, like through more flashbacks in the anime. They kind of waited in the 2003 version till like the very end to reveal that he was a homunculus, so couldn't really do that. And then those of you who watch Brotherhood know why something like that never existed in Brotherhood. Alright, one last character I'd like to talk about, because I'm going to try and limit it to 3 since I'm talking so much about them, is Alphonse, because there is a lot to say about Alphonse in this movie. So now, as we know, like, Ed gets separated to Earth, and Alphonse lost all of his memory. We learned that at the end of the last episode. This isn't any spoilers. I haven't really said any real spoilers so far. Everything I've said happens throughout, like, the beginning of the film. So don't worry, guys. It wasn't, like, a huge plot twist that Bradley was good or anything. But here we go. We have in Shambhala, because Al is now in Shambhala. He has his body back. Without his memory, he literally becomes Ed. He becomes his brother. Like, he steals his outfit and everything. He becomes the Fullmetal Alchemist, pretty much. I don't know if he actually stole the title or anything, but he literally does become Ed. And it's kind of funny to see that. I don't know if they just did that, just kind of like it's an Easter egg sort of thing. I don't really know. What was he supposed to be paying tribute to his brother, or did the writers just do that because they kind of ran out of ideas at this point? I don't know, to be honest. I don't think this is one of like the highlights of the film or anything. I just thought this was something funny to point out, how Al completely stole the role of Ed. We get to see this change a little bit throughout the movie, though. I won't say any more than that. But, yeah, let's get on to a little bit deeper of an analysis, I guess, even though I've already been looking way too far into this. Why do I do that? Alright, at this point, I'm pushing my limits. I'm basically, if I talk more, I'm just going to get into borderline spoiler territory, maybe even complete solid spoiler territory. So from here on out, there will be major spoilers. You're warned. This is your warning right here. You see this? If I'm looking at the, okay, a little bit of a video delay, so like video and the audio get lined up, so like looking at myself, it's a little bit off. But around like this area, like right where Ed is on this t-shirt, look at this, pretty cool t-shirt from Fullmetal Alchemist. So I've been talking a lot about our universe, actually, Earth, in this movie. I mentioned a little bit of Shambhala when Al became like the new Ed 2.0, new Ed, new EDS. I don't know. I was trying to make a new 3DS reference. That was probably bad. It was really bad, wasn't it? I should just stop. But anyway, one of the best scenes the film actually does directly involve Alphonse, and that's when he opens the gate up on his side. Now, in order for the gate to be open for them to cross through Shambhala to Earth, they gotta open it on both sides. That gets accomplished on Ed's side. I won't go into detail of that for now. But on Al's side, this is what I think is more important towards the movie. He opens it with the help of Wrath. Now, Wrath, in 2003, he is the son of Izumi Curtis, and who passed away like as a baby. And he was so annoying throughout the series. I actually hated him. He was just one of those characters who you saw and you're like, oh my god, I actually hate this character. Not because like you're evil or anything, just because the fact that you're annoying. Like, please never come on the show again. But you see him here, and he's actually kind of changed a little bit. Now that everything has gone down, and we learned that Izumi Curtis has actually passed away, which, wow, I'm kind of shocked that they did that for the movie. Like, that didn't happen in the show ever. They just decided, you know what, let's just make this character die, like, in between the 2-year time skip between the show and the movie. That's probably a good idea. You know what, it actually was a little bit of a good idea, because it did lead to some character development for Wrath, because now Wrath has finally, like, changed size. He's realized, changed sides, not size. I know it kind of sounded like size there for a second, but he changed sides. He realized that he was in the wrong. Izumi was his real mother, and he just wanted to be with her. So when he sacrificed his life, oh my god, that scene. That was one of those scenes where you actually have feels. Like, I went from really hating this character to really liking this character and feeling sad that he was dying, but at the same time, it's what he wanted. So, I don't know, just really touchy. It's one of those scenes that really just, it gets you like so sad, but like happy at the same time. I don't know. I feel like those scenes are the more powerful scenes in not just anime, but like any film in general, really. Alright, the other scene in this film that really stood out to me was the end. Probably the worst. The worst of all. Because everybody hates this ending. I see some reason why this actually is a good ending, but then yeah no, I don't really like this ending that much. Although I do have to say, you know, I do have to talk about the positives of it, or not really positive outcome of it, but just how I don't want to use the word character development again, but we just get to see a lot more character. And I just go ahead and I say that again, from Ed here. We see that he values the lives of everyone so much that he's willing to just go back and leave everyone again and never see them again, just to save everyone's lives. Because even though it's not positive that, like, I mean, actually no, it is positive. They defeated the first ship that came through. People are going to try and come into Shambhala again. That's just the end of it. Like, there's no denying that at some point people will try and come and attack again. So Ed decided he had to close it off once and for all, and that would involve him never seeing his friends again. And he knew he couldn't tell that to anyone because they would not let him leave, so he just went and did it without telling anybody. And yeah, I mean, we all know what happens. Al sneaks onto the ship and he goes with Ed, and happily ever after, the boys are together, but rest in peace Winry, because now she's alone. It's actually really sad that how they just left her all alone. It's like, first she lost Ed, now Al's not there either, but meanwhile, like, Ed and Al are just chilling on Earth, probably finding her, like, alternate form there. But I really don't know how Al snuck on that ship, by the way. Like, I don't know. Like, can't even think of how he managed to do it. Wow, looking back at that scene, like, this is something that really puzzles me. Like, how did he actually do that? I really do not know. But, you know, it was kind of a powerful scene. It was. I'd say that it really was one of those big scenes in the movie. can even say it is a good scene. It's just everybody hates the outcome. They don't want the characters to be separated from each other forever. It's almost like they just killed Ed and Al because they're on a separate planet without alchemy, and they'll never see anyone that they care about ever again. Like, that's it. They have no one on Earth. No one. So, I don't know. I mean, they have a life ahead of them with a world where they don't know anybody, and there's no alchemy, so nothing that they're good at's there. It's just one of those endings that while it's good, it's wow. It went with that at the same time. Like, I don't know how to describe it. That's it for spoilers, guys. You're safe if you waited up until, if you just skipped through it. If you watched the whole thing, good for you. You can go watch the movie now, I'd say, if you haven't watched it yet. And if you skip the spoilers, or if you just watch through the spoilers and you haven't seen it anyway, I'd still recommend watching the film. It's very good in my opinion. Even though I didn't love the 2003 adaptation of Fullmetal Alchemist, I'd say this movie is better than that series, definitely. It's just a good film in general. The only thing is you do have to watch the series, and you can't just go to this from watching Brotherhood. You'll be completely lost. You have to watch the 2003 series. I'd say it's well worth it for this movie. It's one of my favorite films, actually, to be honest. Like, it's just so good. There's no way to just describe it. It's so good, and maybe that's just because I did like the 2003 series. Like, I'd say a lot. Like, it wasn't like I was in love with it, but I did like it a lot the first time I saw it. So, like, going into this movie, I mean, maybe some of my views on it were influenced by that, but I just think it's overall just a really good movie in general. So, I'm not going to really give it a number rating, because I don't really do that, but if you do want to go ahead and check out my anime list, you can see my number rating there, I guess, even though I don't really know. I give anime a number rating there, just because it always asks you to, and I don't really judge it by the number. I judge it by like whatever it says next to the number. So like if I was watching it, I was thinking like, this was good, and I'll give it a 7 because like it says good next to 7. And if I was watching it thinking like, this is great, then I'll give it like a 9, and you know, so on and so forth. Like if I give one a 7 and one an 8, that doesn't necessarily mean the show I gave an 8 is better than the show I gave a 7. It's just like, I don't know. This is confusing. Why am I even rambling on about this? Just go watch this movie if you haven't already. It's so great. While some people think that it should have ended differently, I think it was alright. Alright? I think this was a good end to the series. Just such a great film. I keep repeating myself. Just watch it already. And also, guys, if you could, please leave a like on the video if you did enjoy. I really hate asking for likes, but YouTube's new algorithm, that's really all that matters at this point. Comments too. So if you'd like to comment anything, please feel free to share your opinions down in the description below. Alright guys, that's it. I'm going to wrap up this review now. This is Tops, and I'm out.